Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to another video on my Design and Manage series. In the previous video, we have worked on the accesses for this densest part of the city. We have created this massive stacked interchange, this four-way interchange, and we've also added a secondary connection to the city over here with this trumpet interchange, and also this avenue connection that connects to both the train station and to the other side of the railroad as well, with this tunnel and also roundabout access. With the core infrastructure defined, the next step would be, of course, to create the road layout for this part of the city, on the other side of the railroad. So I think that's something we can do today. So I think I'm gonna go on my map tile section and I'm gonna buy these tiles. I think we are gonna need them as we are gonna start creating some development over here. One of the things that I have noticed is that this area in particular has this little mountain. I don't know if you can call it a mountain because it's so tiny, with this cairn on top of it. And this, I believe the idea when the developers made this on this map was to create kind of a tomb or a memorial site. And that actually gave me an idea of something to put here. Perhaps we can convert this area into a big natural park that also serves as a memorial place for like a king or someone that was very important for this city. The game has actually some custom assets like this old mausoleum, for example, which is a relatively large asset when compared with all the other tombstones. And perhaps we can make a mountain here with this thing on top. And this could potentially be the place where an old king of the region was buried a lot of centuries ago. So I think I'm enjoying that idea quite a lot. So I think I'm gonna start working on it. But I think I wanna do something a bit more interesting than this. The way this is laid out is just a bit sad. We have a completely flat area with this little thing in the middle of it, out of nowhere. It looks like someone took a dump here. So hopefully I can make a mountain that is more natural looking and more organic and visually appealing. First things first, I'm gonna delete this thing, the existing cairn. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hopefully I'm not butchering the English language, as I usually do. But now we can start and create the basic structure of the mountain. So I think I'm gonna go by 50 here and grab this tile point and enlarge the terrain here. Perhaps we can even make a slightly taller segment, and we can make, I don't know, perhaps we can extend all the way here, and this will allow us to make the basic structure of the mountain, I suppose. The basic structure of the mountain is created. I think this occupies a significant amount of area in the region. We still have a lot of room to develop around it, so hopefully this should not be unnecessarily large. And now we can start polishing and adjusting the edges of the mountain by doing something like this, and smooth these edges. I also think I'm gonna extend a piece of the land here to try and make an interesting shape. And hopefully we can make this avenue tunnel beneath this little mountain piece. I'm just trying to make something that would look interesting, I suppose. I think this is a good starting point for our mountain. It looks realistic and natural looking. I've also added some edges and some cliffs just so it wouldn't all look smooth, you know, like a baby face. So that will give us a lot of room and a lot of potential to make something unique here. But do you know what would look really cool here alongside this mountain? A lake. Yeah, I think I really want to do that. And then create the entire city or the downtown area around it. I think that will look really cool. So let's adjust the terrain a little bit more. And let's make a cove or a hole here on the ground. Oops, I messed up. Okay, so something like this. And let's go alongside the slope of the mountain. And then I think we can even go a bit deeper here. I'm just doing the basic strategy that I've done with the mountain. First we start with the structure and then we smooth the edges. I believe this is a deep enough hole for a lake. I also do not want to go too deep because I don't think there's the need for it. And now what we can do is grab the water tool features, which comes with the water features mod, and we can now make a lake. And the way this works is we just have to right click to designate the target elevation. And I think this area here would be a nice target elevation, because if I click at around here it will overflood and water will come out of the hole, which is not what we want. So I'm gonna pick a height that's significantly lower than that, like here. And now we can put our water source. Now we just have to resume the simulation and let the water level adjust. Ah, look at this. What a nice lake. This area is turning out very well, and I cannot wait to see the entire thing developed and polished in its final stages. I've also had to adjust the terrain a little bit over here because water was overflooding here, because the target elevation that I've chosen for the lake, it was okay on this coastal area, but on this area not, because the terrain is slightly sloping towards the left side. So I had to create this adjusted and elevated platform here, which you can notice by these elevation lines over here. But overall, I like the final result of the lake, and I think we're on the right track. The next thing that makes sense doing is develop the road structure of this area. And before committing and start doing the road layout of this entire region, I think I want to have a road that wraps around this entire creation, you know, the mountain and also the lake. And then we can have a road layout that is based on the orientation of the roads that we end up drawing here. I think that's gonna look really cool. So I'm gonna grab my small road, let me enable the elevation steps. And I think I want to make a road, let's see, probably here. And now we can go around the mountain. Okay, this is a good starting point. I think I will adjust the roads later on because I'm not really sure about the curve that this road is doing on the edge of the lake. In the meanwhile, another thing that I want to do is actually extend this avenue and bring it towards this side of the lake and also the mountain. And the most ideal thing to do here, or the most realistic, the way a real city planner would do this, or a real engineer would do this, would be to go alongside the mountain. No, not mess around with this elevation change here. Go here in between the mountain and also the railroad, and then connect to this avenue out around here. However, this is a video game and I want to keep things interesting, so what I think I'm gonna do is have this road curve at around here and then go into a tunnel and go beneath this portion of the mountain. I think that's gonna look really, really cool. So let's make a segment, let me disable this guideline. Let's make a segment here, then we can start curving, then make a straight road. Here is fine, and now we can start sloping and tunneling at this area. Okay, so something like this, and of course we'll have to adjust this. But yeah, I think this is a good starting point. Alright, so I polished the roads a bit more and made them a bit better. First, I fixed the weird curve that we had going on around the lake. I think the shape that we ended up with right now is much better. And I've also corrected the tunnels. This one was a bit messed up, as you remember, and for this tunnel I brought it a bit to the right side and a bit closer to the slope or the edge of this mountain. I've also connected this road to the main 6-lane with this curve here, and I converted this into a 4-lane, just for a basic road hierarchy. It goes from a 6-lane to a 4-lane, and perhaps in the future I can convert this into a 4-lane as well, depending where I'm going to connect it to this avenue on this side. If I do the connection right here, perhaps I can keep it as a 6-lane, because it could potentially have a lot of traffic, but if I end up curving and extending towards this side and not have any connection with this avenue here, perhaps I can transform it into a 4-lane. Of course, I will also have to continue this road and connect it to this road. I still don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just leave it as it is for the time being. But enough talking, I think we can go to the main subject of the video, which is making the tomb of the king and start making our memorial site. So I think first and foremost, let me grab the level terrain tool, and I think I want to extend this tip of the mountain towards this side, so something like this, so that we have enough room to place our mausoleum, because I want to place it right on the very tallest spot of the mountain, and I think it will be here. Okay, I think that that works. And now, of course, we need to create some pathways that lead from the very tip of the mountain all the way to the bottom side and connect with these roads. Perhaps I can start with the very top and then go down. So I think over here we need to make a curve or make a much more decent slope than what we have. So something like this. We can have a slope here. Like this, then we can have a pathway curving here. So let's adjust the terrain a little bit better here. And now we can make another slope here. Now let's start with the basic pathway. Let me also turn on the contour lines for the pathway as well. We can try and make an organic and natural looking shape. So something like this, I suppose. Yeah, I think that would work. Time for a progress update on the mountain. The pathway network is pretty much done, I suppose. I think this is enough pathways for a mountain of this size. There's a couple of ways for people to reach the mausoleum or the memorial site. Going down on this pathway here, you know, we have this pathway that goes alongside the main hill, and then it splits at around here with the right segment or the right pathway leading towards this side of the region next to the train station. By connecting to the avenue here, perhaps I can add other pathways and other connections to this avenue in the future, but for the time being I think this is enough. And I also have a pathway going on top of the tunnel and going alongside the mountain that will eventually connect to possibly a road at around this area, and perhaps we can even make a bridge or a tunnel and make a connection to this side of the region as well, just for walkability purposes. The other side of the pathway, on the other hand, leads towards the lake, and here we have a big pathway that connects one side of the lake to the other, which has the potential to be a very good and very attractive park where people can come in and take long strolls away from the noise and the confusion of the city center. I think now we can start detailing, and of course the majority of the work here is going to be planting trees and you know, make this into a decently sized forest and natural park. I'm expecting that will take me a significant amount of time to do, but there's also some other details that we can add, namely a safety barrier on this mausoleum, because you guys know how people are. Something like this in real life would be vandalized and robbed if there's no control or security around it. Well, first and foremost, we have enough protection on the sides with these hills. I don't think anyone would realistically climb this mountain, so perhaps we can just put a small control point on this pathway, the only access towards the mausoleum. And I think we have to be creative with this. I think I'm gonna use fences first and foremost. Let's see, we have these net lane fences. I think that's what I want. And how about this, the fence industrial high? Yeah, I think this is appropriate to what we're doing. I think I'm gonna make a fence here. Okay, so something like this. And now on the other side as well. Okay, so this is the entrance to the mausoleum. And then of course we can polish this a bit better. I don't really like how the fence looks like it's falling over. Unfortunately, there's no gates that I can use to put here, but I think the fences are an indication of the security that's around this area. I also think we can add a kiosk here right at the entrance. So this could be the place where people buy tickets to go to the mausoleum. Or if it's free entrance, they can buy or get some brochures that perhaps tells a little bit of the history about the person that is buried here, or a little bit of the history of the city in general. Historic places like this, like in Europe for example, which also serve as touristic attractions, usually have stuff like this. We can also put another building here, so perhaps this kiosk which can serve as a souvenir shop for example. So at around here. I think I like the green one best because it fits with the kiosk, but perhaps I can adjust it later on. Now I can also put a couple of food carts, so let's put a food cart here, and also this one, perhaps this is a good place for it over here, like this. Okay, so this is places where people can snack while they're visiting the mausoleum, because they have just came from a long hiking journey from the bottom of the city and they climbed all of this. Finally, we cannot forget about toilets. That is very important, and I think for that I need to use the Find It mod. Portable toilet, I think this is what we want, and I'm gonna place these at around here, so perhaps 3 toilets are enough. Okay, and I think I want all of them to be the same color, so I might replace the one in the middle with another gray one. I think this is enough detailing for the time being. let's move on and start planting some trees. And I think I want to start with this top area and then progress towards the rest of the park. Alright, here's a small sample of what this area is going to look like in the future. I think I'm going to go with a tree pattern that is more or less like this. This pattern uses a combination of different assets or different trees. First and foremost, we have the spruce trees, which I think are going to be the bulk or the majority of the trees that are planted in this park. Then we have these lighter green trees, which are the birch trees, which create a nice contrast with the spruce trees as they are a lighter shade of green. The pine trees, of course, because why not? And then we have some smaller trees, which are the poplars, and they are the smallest type of tree that I'm planting here in this park. And then finally we have these bushes, you know, the wild green bush and also the wild flower bushes as well, which if you place them in some areas can create a very nice effect. So for example, this area surrounding the mausoleum I think looks adequate for the type of place that it is. And I think this pattern is okay. Trees are placed in clusters, which make it sound very dense and compact in some areas, but I'm also going to try to leave some empty areas in between to kind of create these huge clearances where people can perhaps play a game of soccer or make a picnic or whatnot. These trees were all individually placed, one by one, which is of course a lot of work, but by doing that and not using the tree brush, you can do something beautiful and something very creative like this, which I think looks amazing. I think the biggest challenge is going to be, of course, to expand this pattern to this entire area. That's going to be a lot of work, but that's actually the next step. In the meanwhile, I've also polished this area a bit more, so the fence I brought it a bit closer to the pathway. I think now it looks better. This part of the fence is still a bit like it's falling over, but that's fine, I suppose. That's okay. I've replaced this souvenir shop with a green one, and I've also corrected the toilet that was a wrong color. But yeah, I think we can continue and start planting some more trees. Here we go. Okay, so this took me about 2 hours to plant all of these trees. I think it was worth it, but at the same time I don't think I want to go through this all over again in the future. But nevertheless, the final result seems to be very, very appealing. This looks like a decently sized forest, and I think I ended up getting the effect that I wanted, which is to add a lot of trees, but at the same time don't look very, very cluttered. I think in some areas I could place a lot more trees and create some more condensed and packed areas, but I think this is fine and okay for the time being. Maybe in the future we can polish it a bit more if there's need for it. Especially because I don't think I'm done with this area. One of the things that I wanted to do was place something at the very tip of this mountain. In the previous City Skylines game, we had these observation decks, which looked amazing, you know, these observation decks and also the observation towers, which I think came with the Park Life DLC. In this game, I don't think we have a lot of assets. I think the asset that looks the closest to an observation deck would be this Firewatch Tower, which is not really a bad idea, you know, to put something like that on this very tip of the mountain. But I don't know, I need the idea to mature a little bit in my head before committing to that. Other than that, I think the area looks amazing. I've also done a little bit of work on the park. In this area I've added a lot of bushes. I know that in real life, you know, closer to the water there's a higher probability for vegetation to spawn, you know, if you can call it that, or to grow. But at the same time I didn't want to make it too cluttered and obstruct the view of the lake that people have when they're walking through this pathway. And I think I ended up with a nice balance between vegetation and also open areas next to the river. In this case the lake. For example, some areas like this one are open areas where people can enjoy the view. Perhaps we can also add some fishing piers in the future. I think that would look great. And by the way, have you noticed when you zoom in very, very close to a tree or a forest, you kind of hear these nature sounds? Then also in some areas I've tried to create some flower patches, you know, with these flower beds. So here we have one, then we have another one over here in this hill, and then a big one on this area as well. I might zone some stuff on the inside of this avenue and right up against the park. Like for example, I could place a school here or a hospital or something like that. Or perhaps even a signature building like, I don't know, a mansion, for example, like this one, the pop musician mansion. So I need to think what I want to do with this park. But overall, I am very, very happy with what we have created here. Now we can name this entire area and make some districts. So first, I think I want to name and create a particular and very specific area for the tomb itself. Okay, so this size should be sufficient, but it's not going to be Valley Brook, that's going to be the King's Rest. And now we can make the district for the national park itself. The game doesn't allow us to make a district inside another district, so I had to make something creative here. So we have this little gap here on this district, but that's fine. I would like you guys to suggest a name for this natural park. For the time being, I'm just gonna give it a placeholder name. It's gonna be called Natural Park. Now we can make a district for the lake as well. This one will be called Natural Parks Lake. Again, a placeholder name. But anyway, guys, that will be it for today. I think this was a very nice start to this side of the map, you know, on the other side of the railroad. Stay tuned for the next video when we will expand this area a bit further and start making the road layout. Until then, thank you so much for watching and take care.